Hey, thank you so much for clicking on this video. You're about to watch a Monday Relive, a recorded live stream podcast of our actual Monday Live, hosted by me, Jason Vong, and my friend Danny, aka That One Camera Guy. And actually, if you're free Monday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we would love for you to be part of our live audience. Come join us in the chat, contribute to the conversation, and just chill out with your fellow camera and tech nerds. Until then, we hope you enjoy this video. Canon EOS R5. Danny, how crazy was today's announcement?
How crazy? Very crazy.
Oh, man. Okay.
So crazy. I taped up the little thing that was on my hat and switched it on over.
The moment that the embargo lifted, Danny was just like, I am switching sides.
Let me get that EOS R5 out. You know, if Canon wants to switch over my 400 2.8 to a Canon one, I mean, they just give me a call. Just give me a call. No, I mean, it's funny. You know, I had that video I made the other day. I was talking about how I stopped being excited about cameras, and then Canon just rolls this out and confirms the details. And then I'm like, man, you know what? I'm a little bit more excited again about cameras after this announcement. And I don't know. The specs seem unreal for a Canon camera. That's the vibe I got. It's the whole cripple hammer thing. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, no, just go for it, Jason.
Yeah, so I just want to brief anyone out there who has not gotten a chance to get caught up with why the EOS R5 is just blowing a lot of people's mind right now. So I'm going to go ahead and we're not going to screen share. I'm just going to read it out loud. Petapixel. Canon has just released another round of specs for the much anticipated EOS R5. And I just want to reiterate that it's not fully announced yet, but it's just another round of specs officially from Canon, revealing several compelling reasons why this camera is said to be the most revolutionary Canon product since the debut of the 5D Mark II. And the 5D Mark II was so revolutionary because it was a hybrid camera that can shoot 1080p videos and shoot amazing stills. They held this online live stream press conference. This is something that they were going to announce during NAB 2020, but unfortunately that was canceled, much like the recent Comic-Con news. Comic-Con is also canceled. But yeah, they're taking this opportunity to release its third and final development announcement about the R5, revealing how powerful the video camera is going to be on this thing. So a lot of people were kind of concerned about the cripple hammer, which Danny is going to jump right into it as we finish up the specs. But here's what you should be expecting from the EOS R5. Internal 8K 30p raw video recording. Ouch.
Whoa. Internal
8K 30p video recording in 422 10-bit C-Log and HDR PQ. Ouch. Internal 4K 120p video recording 422 10-bit C-Log and HDR PQ. Mega ouch. External 4K 60p video recording over HDMI. No crop. No crop. 8K and 4K video recording using the full width sensor. Holy macaroni. In the words of the great That One Camera Guy, holy macaroni. I think that's what he says. I don't know. Whatever his catchphrase is. Dual pixel CMOS AF available in all 8K and 4K recording modes. Wow. C-Log available in 8K, 4K internal recording modes. 5-axis in-body image stabilization working in conjunction with optical IS in both RF and EF lenses. And the last thing is dual card slots. Hooray. 1 CF Express and 1 SD UHS-2 card slot. Danny. What is this? What is this camera?
Take my money. Take my Sony.
Let's it. You had a feeling. You thought, and we all of us thought that Canon's coming in with that cripple hammer, right?
Yes.
And did this take you by surprise?
It did a little bit, but the first signs that things started to change was the 1DX Mark III. When that came around, when the 1DX Mark III had the really, it had some really nice feature sets in there, especially on the video side of things on the 1DX Mark III. So it seemed as if they were already moving that direction, although it was a very expensive camera. Still, obviously, it's priced at a high point. But this one here I just don't understand the specifications. I don't. You know how you're mentioning it was kind of like an ode to the 5D Mark II, because that sort of started this whole DSLR revolution. And the thing that I've been thinking about is this really just like their prosumer level 5D replacement, and this is not a flagship camera? I don't know. Because if it is a flagship camera, it's not going to be $3,500. It's going to be pretty up there. So that's what I've been wondering.
I think a couple of commenters this morning was reiterating to me from several other YouTubers who've already made a video about this. Frono's Photo was guessing this is going to be around $3,500. I think Manny was kind of saying the same thing. I don't remember what he said, but I don't think so too. I definitely agree with you on this, Danny. This camera with this amazing spec sheet cannot be worth $3,500. I think it has to be up in the ballpark. And I think Alex Sandoval brought this up to me this morning during the live stream that I was doing, that the 1DX Mark III currently right now is $6,500.
Right.
So would they go ahead and price it similarly to their DSLR equivalent, or will they go a lot more expensive because this camera is capable of doing things that the 1DX Mark III is not capable of?
I mean, in terms of competition, the Panasonic S1H seemed to be in the ballpark with the 6K offering, I believe. But it just seems that this is such a massive leap in just like an instant. Granted, Canon's really been slow about this in the first place, but now it looks like they're just taking a major leap. But here's the thing. Here's my issue, like with regards to what the pricing will be. Why would you want to price it at $3,500 when there's no competition right now? Based on what I'm seeing, right? Sony hasn't shown their cards yet. We don't know exactly what Sony's going to do. I was thinking for a second, someone mentioned in the chat about the A7 IV, and I was saying, what if the A7 IV comes out with similar specs with 8K video at $2,000? Okay, I'm going to say
that'll be the greatest show.
I'm going to say here right now, A7 IV, 8K video, 4K 120 frames per second in the A7 IV, not even A7S III. $2,000. I'm saying it right now. I'm saying that now.
That's a
bold claim.
A load of blow.
Let me just go and take this little sticker off here.
You say bold claim, I call bold crap. Okay.
Hey, you know what? There's some pipe dreams out there. We can all dream a little bit about this, but be crazy. Francisco in the house.
Yeah, Francisco says 5K easily in my mind. The lenses are top of the line with high price. Why would the camera be different?
Well, maybe they throw in a small price point for the camera, knowing that you're going to have to spend a lot of money on more expensive glass. Maybe just to ease it up a little bit. But I understand your point too. But because I know YC Imaging was mentioning about maybe the thoughts on the A7S III. But I was like, what if Sony just... This is all speculation, obviously, but what if they just kind of sidestep this whole thing? A7S III, 8K, $3,500, and this comes out at $4,999. Hey, I mean, we're just talking here.
That's an optimistic side of things, right? I like to kind of set my expectation a little bit lower. I'm gonna go by how Sony is modeling their cameras right now. You got A9, top tier flagship model. A7 R4, which is like I would say that's like a step below, okay? Just because, wait, are they the same price? Or are they like,
which one?
The A9 is more expensive, right? The A9.
Yes, it is at $4,500.
Right, and then the R4 is like $3,500. Yeah. And then below that, it is the A7. So for the A7, just to destroy everything, it's a little too much. So I'm going to be on the more realistic end here. I'm just going to say whatever they're going to come out with, maybe an A9S to
Jason,
have competing specs.
I got this. Everybody, don't worry. They're going to send a firmware update, and all your cameras are going to get 8K video. That's it. You heard it from me here.
Danny with the trolling. Danny's trolling tonight, man.
It'd be awesome if you think about it. You're just like, you know what? Canon's like showing off, throwing their things out there. Sony all of a sudden drops a firmware, does 4K 60p, 4K 120. I mean, we don't get 8K, but they just all of a sudden make everybody happy.
It's like 4K 60 gates. Come on in. Gates open. Come on in, folks.
Imagine that. Imagine the current A7 III. Sony just drops an update, gives you better video features. I mean, they keep everybody happy. I mean, I think 8K is great, but I don't know. I mean, I would say for the vast majority of people, 8K is very much for a very specific group of folks, right? The amount of data that's going to take already just for 8K. But hey, I would shoot an 8K if I could.
I mean, having that option is nice, right? I mean, you're thinking of from a more technical standpoint, you can always use that to crop in and your final output's still 4K. And you just have a lot more resolution to just kind of frame your shot, warp stabilize, just get multi-angles in general. That would be what 8K would be good for. Or maybe just have something that's like insanely high quality for one scene. I don't know. I mean, that's what I can really see myself using 8K for if push comes to shove. But for the most part, you're right. Not a lot of people out there needs 8K. A majority out there wouldn't be able to play back 8K or even try to process 8K for that matter.
Right.
So,
you know, Jason, I want to talk. I mean, let's jump with David's comment there for a second. $4,000 is expectation for a 5D Mark IV mirrorless replacement. Yeah, I could see that happening. The heat in this camera, Jason.
there's
8K
no fan.
video, no fan. I didn't hear anything about a fan. The Panasonic S1H, I believe, has a fan. This has none.
You need a fan. Mm-hmm.
Is there a fan in this? And then from the 3D imaging, from the 3D rotation, there wasn't any that I saw. Or was it mentioned in the article or anything like that, Jason? I don't think there was.
I read several articles, and there is no fan from what some of the articles that I was reading. And by articles, I meant one just petapixel, but yeah, zero fan. So that's the thing. That's a concern that everyone's having right now is the heat issues, right? Like if you're shooting 8K 30, is there any potential heat issue? I mean, the S1H has a fan, and that can shoot 4K 60 internal,
and
right?
6K.
And 6K. And it already needs a fan for 6K. So what is the limitation that it comes to when shooting 8K? Maybe 5 minutes, maybe less. But is that going to be an issue? I think if you're only using 8K selectively, I don't think people are going to be too mad. If 8K has a time limit on that to prevent itself from overheating, I think it's fine. Because a lot of people,
unless the technology's already made that leap. I mean, unless you're taking more of that tech that's coming into current cell phones like the Samsung S20 Ultra, it has the 8K recording options in there. Maybe that kind of tech's already rolling into these cameras, and they're just, it's going to happen. Maybe there's a way that they can transfer the data without building up so much heat. So I could be wrong here, but I could have sworn that when you're taking a raw file, it doesn't create as much heat as it would if it was being sort of rendered out to like H.264, H.265. But maybe I'm reading into that wrong because I don't know about that world too much. But I would imagine it would use less processing and less heat. But I'm just curious to see how they're going to dissipate that heat. And again,
this is just us speculating. We're just talking. We have no idea yet. And the fact that Canon has already surprised us with, everything every single one of our doubts, I think everyone is waiting for them to surprise us again.
Right. I was saying in my video that it's very interesting that Canon is willing to flex these numbers. And my biggest concern was that if they're flexing these numbers here, did that mean that they already sort of know what the competition is going to bring to the table and they're not even worried about it? And what's Sony's reaction going to be in terms of their A7S III? I mean, we've heard for the past couple of years or so at this point, I think that the A7S III, Sony was really focusing on the video side of things. They wanted to bring in a camera that's going to really wow everybody. I think that was the main thing. But now everyone out there is going above and beyond. So Jason, I'm a little worried for the Sony side. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know how everyone else feels about that. So,
and I commented in my live stream, and I said this, and I'm going to be completely honest. I mean, like, I don't know if Sony will actually come out with a competing spec camera. I don't know if they're going to come out with something that's 8K with internal 422. And I'm just reiterating here that as someone who uses the camera, 8K is not important to me. I don't need to use 8K. I don't need 8K at all. What I need is 4K 60. If you could give me 4K 120, oh boy, oh baby, just send it my way. Just send it my way. So I'm completely happy if Sony comes out with not so much of a spec competing camera, but something that's a little bit more practical for the mass, for us to use. 4K 60, 4K 120. I think a lot of people have been itching for that. If they supply that to us, to the creators, to the mass creators, I think we're going to be happy, because then at that point, you're really just, it all just comes down to usability and price, right?
Right.
You can, Canon can still win in specs. That's completely fine. But at the end of the day, who's going to get a majority of the number?
Look, I'm going to say right now, at this particular round of the fight, I think Canon's going to take this one in terms of spec wars. I'm not saying, this is more about a spec thing than really. It's not even a thing about. It's not going to necessarily say, if you're kind of in the Sony world of things, I don't think you're going to expect yourself leaving the camp anyway at this moment. But I was saying that those that were in the Canon camp that stayed with Canon and they stuck with it, they have something to be really excited for, be able to move in that direction. So, but for everybody else that's in Sony, well, we have to wait. We have to wait till the next iteration, and they may not win spec-wise, but all the features that we've known to really appreciate with the Sony cameras are still there, Jason. I mean, autofocus is pretty good. I still prefer the autofocusing in the Sony camera over the Canon system, like for the stuff that I do. So I wouldn't necessarily want to jump ship or anything like that. But I do for sure, when this camera is available, I do want to test it out. I do want to check it out. I do have some Canon lenses still here and there, so I'd have to adapt to it. So, but very exciting.
I'm on the same boat. I'm on the same boat with your whole thought process on it, right? And I was saying, like, as someone who's actually also using the camera professionally as well, it doesn't make any sense to switch over to a brand new system and having to reinvest in just glass. Like, sure, Sony's not perfect, but the thing is, when it comes to using these gear in a professional environment, you can ask anyone that's working in the field that they know how to work around those limitations. They've been using the cameras day in and day out, and they know how to work around those limitations. To relearn all of those limitations again and make those mistakes on the job, it could be pretty costly. So unless it's absolutely necessary for people, like this is like, okay, Canon is offering something that no one else is offering, and I absolutely need these features, then it makes absolute sense to jump ship.
My biggest concern for Canon here is them showing off their numbers, but can they put it at the right price? That's what I'm saying. They're getting everybody excited. My question is, okay, so let's say they bring this in, Jason. Let's say they do this whole spiel with the specs. Are they going to bring in a lower tiered EOS R5, maybe the EOS R7, like their 7D series or whatever, and then maybe R6. R6, and will they give it some specs but cut it down and bring it into a particular price point that's affordable for most of their consumer base? That's where I think the benefit is. Maybe you won't get the 8K, but you could get the 4K 60p or the 4K 120 frames per second, but no 8K, because not everybody's going to need that. I think if Canon does something like that, because let's just be honest, that R6 is not going to be, it's not going to be in the reach of everybody. It just won't. And that's why I made that joke earlier. I'm like, what if Sony just comes around, A7 IV, drops 8K?
Hallelujah.
I'm calling it here, man. No, you know what?
Hallelujah.
I think Sony would probably be more inclined to do 6K because their sensors, I think, fit that particular frame already. And just migrating to a 6K sensor or 6K video, I think would be more reasonable than going all the way to 8K and being able to manage heat or whatever it is. And that might satiate everybody that's in this particular camp for the time being. But Canon, that's my take right now. Sony hits 6K, Canon's got the 8K advantage, and then they all sort of trying to leapfrog each other next time around. But the real question is, where's Nikon in all of this? Where's Nikon?
Photobiac, we need your expertise. Where's Nikon?
Where's Nikon?
Where's Nikon? We need some answers.
Well, to be honest,
questions.
I'll be honest, where's Sony been? I'll be honest. Sony hasn't really knocked on the video door right now. So we'll see how that goes.
They could be just waiting. What is Canon announcing? We don't know. They're just like, okay, we're gonna see. We're just gonna take our cards back right now. We'll just let the other players show their hands.
I'm gonna sell all my cameras now.
But like I said, I'm not too optimistic. I don't want to hold my breath for something that's like equal in specs. But if they give me what I need, I'll be happy.
Well, you'll be happy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wait, with
4K
Canon or
120.
Sony?
Come on.
4K
Come on,
120.
baby. 4K 120, Sony. Come on.
I
4K,
hope.
come on.
I hope.
Okay. 4K 60 at the very least. 4K 60. Come on. Hassan Hyder says,
I just want a firmware update.
Don't forget the flip out screen, guys. Don't forget the flip out screen. That's a huge advantage on Canon's end. Manny Ortiz, yes, this is like that scene in Peter Pan where the lost boys were choosing sides from Peter Pan. And hold on, I can't read that. My screen's too small. Rufio, Sony to Canon and back to Sony when they announced theirs. It's going to be a lot of back and forth. I think I at the end of the day, no one's going to be happy, right? Whatever's going to happen, there's just something to complain about. So,
oh yeah, of course,
we'll see. Until we get the hands on these cameras to really do some performance to performance, that's the only way to find out. Will the price matter if everyone already is thinking about buying because of the specs? I think so. I think so. I mean, Danny, are you okay? Let's just say hypothetically this camera is $6,500, and it fits your needs. Okay, let's just put a hypothetical situation right now. You are in the Canon camp. Would this be a camera you buy?
I would probably. I'd have to sell stuff, but I would consider it maybe. But I'd probably consider renting it for a project or something like that if I was going to do something that I really want to take advantage of, like that 4K 120 or something. That'd be more inclined. The thing is, I don't have the lenses to really take advantage of it. I'd have to be using manual lenses. Although if the adapter works decently with some of the EF lenses, because I still have like the 18 to 35, the 50 to 100 Sigma. I still have some Canon glass that I could use just to mess around with that whole system. But I'm kind of already sucked into that Sony stuff for the time being, so I don't see myself leaving anytime soon. That's the only thing. But I think Pete Tran has something to say.
I already adapt Canon glass for Sony. If I switch to Canon, it would be too bad. But Sony still has the best autofocus. Canon people want to know your location.
I haven't tested that the current gen of Canon EOS R cameras, but I want to see how well this performs in terms of its autofocusing capabilities. But
just going back to that question, like would price matter, right? Absolutely, price does matter. I mean, like if Sony came out with something that's like this and they're asking me $6,500, I would have to sell a lot of things. I would have to sell some stuff because it just doesn't, like, if I really wanted it and it's like the best hybrid camera ever, it's gonna definitely, I'm gonna have to find a way to funnel it. It's just there's no other way. It's a hard hitting price, but anyone who needs a camera like this, absolutely, they will fork the money over. They'll find a way to make it work. But for the most part, if you need it, you're not gonna buy it.
No, it has so much potential. Right now it's just very interesting with the whole dynamic because they just announced the C300 Mark III at this point, and that's coming at 4K. I think it's doing 120 FPS, maybe 60. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on there, but man, it's just crazy how this one system is going to go all the way to 8K, but they're not going to even have the potential in the C300 Mark III. But I think it has to do with the sensor size, with the megapixels, because obviously you need to have a certain megapixel range in order to have that sensor size for that 8K.
Yeah, and that C300 is also an APS-C sensor, right?
Yeah, it's APS-C.
Super 35.
Super 35. There you go. Yeah, but I think it's more of a megapixel issue. That's why they're not doing 8K on that particular sensor.
I mean, that's the thing. A lot of there's articles that's already. Okay, I'm gonna read out Photomiac first. I kind of left them hanging, but all right, look. Okay, at this moment, Nikon is closer to Canon than Sony is. Hashtag raw video. Hashtag Tepid422.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And Nikon is doing. I think they have some sort of partnership with Atomos right now. So Atomos recorders, they're doing something. They're doing something together. So they're not ignoring the video market, and they're definitely going after that video market hard. But just really quickly, since we touched on the C300, the Petapixel also pointed out that on raw specs alone, this camera seems to outperform even higher end cinema cameras, like the $39,000 full frame Sony Venice, which only maxes out at 6K 30 and 4K 60, both externally recorded. And I think there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, right? Like just to bring up what Danny was saying, C300 not having even matching specs, so there must be something else that's going on with this camera. That's
granted, they're two different cameras. One's built for a specific industry that needs all these particular features. And then this particular camera having such a smaller size, but everyone's been able to adapt where they need to. So, but those cinema cameras, they have their place, obviously, but people can adapt, to use those particular camera sets. But I don't know, man. And you know what too, with the whole cripple thing, it says they're going to have dual pixel autofocus in the 4K and 8K mode. That was something I thought we were going to. I thought 8K, no dual pixel autofocus. No, they've got dual pixel autofocus. They're saying both modes.
And so, I think it's because they keep getting ragged on, right? I think was it the R? Was it the R that was like 4K at some point doesn't have dual pixel AF, or is that with the EOS M?
Their EOS M cameras have had issues with dual pixel autofocus in certain modes, and then even their EOS R cameras with struggling with autofocus initially. I think the firmware sort of helped it already. And then, they've been getting bashed too with their DSLRs too, Jason, in terms of their specifications over the years. So, if they knock it out with this, it's going to be great. But the price point, like we said, if they bring it in, like Oster was saying, about 4,000 or 3,500, 4,000 range, be a knockout of the park.
At the end of the day, I think the community, anyone in any community can absolutely agree. This is like, holy cow.
Yeah, wow. For the tech enthusiasts, for everyone that's like a tech enthusiast about this kind of thing that's really into camera tech, you can't. It's great.
Even people in a different camp, Sony camp, Nikon camp. How can you say this isn't impressive? This is absolutely impressive. Like,
what if, Jason? What's funny? They haven't said a single thing about photo specs. What if it only does 1 frame per second? Just 1 photo per second.
There's the cripple hammer right there. That's the cripple hammer.
They haven't said anything about the actual the actual taking photo aspect of things.
They summon Thor, and they're just like, that's how you get
not a single word. And remember, the benefit of the Sony thing was the fact that we were able to use both as a hybrid, right?
Yes.
That whole concept of hybrid, being able to jump into Super 35 mode, or whatever mode it might be, and switching back and forth and taking advantage of that. I really like that flexibility with Sony. I don't know. Has Canon gotten to that point with their mirrorless? I don't recall. But you get what I'm saying, though, with regards to APS-C glass, because obviously their EOS M is a completely different mounting system. I don't know if they'll ever get that worked out, but,
that's a huge benefit. I'm definitely also in that camp, too, just being able to get advantage of the extra crop and sensor for even full frame glass. So what is it? What can they implement that as well for the Canon? I think they did, didn't they? They did not. Someone help us out here.
You could adapt for sure.
Mm-hmm. There. They
already said 16 mechanical. Never mind. Okay, so they already said photo size 16 mechanical, 20 electronic. Man, we're done, Jason. All right. This. This is it was nice. It was nice while it lasted.
Well, see you later, Danny.
It was nice while it lasted. It's time to let it go. I'm done. If the autofocus is amazing.
They need what is it? FE mount to RF mount, and you'll be set.
Look, if Canon, contact me. Make a video. We'll switch everything out. Totally fine with it. I'll sell my. I don't care. Why did I buy this? Oh God, jeez. Anybody?
He has some great shots.
Anybody want a discounted 400? Anybody want a discounted 400 2.8?
Oh man! Thank you for giving us all that information, guys. We really appreciate you guys helping us learn.
Totally forgot that they were already knocking it on the photo side, man. It's killer. So
we'll see.
Jason, it's done. Jason, it's done.
We will see. We will see.
Jason, it's done. What are we doing here?
Until the camera comes out, we'll see. Right. YC Imaging says Canon's basically been in the gym for the past 4 years. Now they're looking for those bullies who pushed them in the playground when they were 5. I don't know about them being 5, but definitely they've gone through they've gone through some midlife crisis, and they're trying to be hip again. That's the way that I see it. They're the ones that's just like, get out of the way.
They're just
A9 Mark II, whatever, 20 frames per second. Nikon.
Seriously.
Jeez.
Okay.
Osmay says the cripple hammer will be the price. Okay.
I mean,
everything boils down to the price.
Is that fair though? I mean, I get it. That could be it. I mean, if that's the only cripple hammer, I mean, that's pretty amazing. If the cripple hammer is the price and not the specs. So.
Like I said, they're gonna price it high. I don't mind if they did for what it can do. I don't mind.
I'm gonna say it here: $11,999. The same price as the Canon 1D Cinema when it came out. There. It's gonna be 12 grand, everybody. I'm gonna call it right now. 12 grand.
I thought that's how much you're selling your 400 for, so you can fund the R5. 11,999. That's how much he's selling his 400 for, guys. It's a smoking deal. Fund Danny's R5. Drop a like. Drop those super chat donation, and I'll make sure Danny will see a penny of that, so he can fund it for his R5. Awesome. Is there anything else, Danny, you want to add about the R5? Because we definitely went over time with it, but I think that's what everyone wanted to hear about, so that's completely okay.
It's just great. If this is a 5D successor type style camera, it's great that they're bringing that back. Canon was the one that brought in the 5D Mark II, ushered in this whole particular industry with DSLRs and video, and it took a while. If this does come to fruition this year or early next year, then Canon came back.
That's another thing. And that's another thing. Release date. When is it coming out?
Yeah.
Is it early 2021 CES, or is it going to be end of the year or tomorrow?
I don't know. I think they're probably waiting on it.
All right, folks, as we're rounding up our little discussion with the Canon R5, start queuing up for #QA. Ask us anything you want, whether it's Canon R5. We'll do our best to answer. We don't know. We don't have all the answers, but anything you would like. #QA. Let us know. What is it? Cardoso Media. It will cost a trailer load of toilet paper. Canon is looking to trade. So if you guys are hoarding toilet papers and hand sanitizers, they are willing to give an R5. So please send an email to send me R5 for toilet paper at canon.com.
Don't say it. They're gonna take you for face value.
Some people will. Will. I know it.
Zachary James Morrison, they said July. Wow, that's
July.
The case.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So July. Hassan says I expect early 2021.
Manny, he said, I kind of agree with him on this. The cripple hammer will be revealed when you try to recover the shadows.
Wait, what? Is it? This is a Canon joke that I'm not understanding right now. Are they bad with shadows?
It's a struggle with Canon. It's a struggle. I remember shooting with the EOS R. It struggled with the highlights and shadow.
That's true. I mean,
the dynamic. We'll see.
Shadow details.
We'll see.
The A7s. We will see. Hey, thanks again for tuning in. If you want to see this podcast on Google, Apple, or even Spotify, let me know in the comments down below. If there are enough people who are interested in streaming our podcast this way, we would love to make it happen. Until then, we hope to see you at the next Monday Live. Catch you soon.